My next point is about communication with the people to the government. This government in the UK, as well as for many governments, they struggle to show what they are doing for the people. For example, the Online Safety Act. It has been heralded as a success for Labour. It has been, people are saying it's a great thing what Labour have done. The Conservatives brought it, they brought it up. They started on this axe way before Labour went to power. And not many people know that. They just think because it's out now from Labour, they think Labour did it. Actually, the Conservatives did it. So, and at the end of the Conservative government, there wasn't that much positive. So they really need to, any forms of government, from the Conservatives to the Labour government, now need to actually say what they're doing right, say what their successes are. Because the Labour government, as much as people may disagree, the Labour government now are doing a lot of success. They're doing a lot wrong, maybe, but they're also doing a lot of success. But they're not. The only things that are coming out are the problems, the wrongdoings the Labour government are doing. When actually they are actually doing some good in government. So I feel communication with the people needs to be brought up more. They need to be more clear cut of what they're doing and what they've actually done. Because unfortunately, we mostly see negatives. When it comes to most governments, we see mostly negatives. They need to get their victories out there and say, this is what we're doing positively. My next point is make the House of Lords better. We need to flesh it out, and we need to get it so it's worth having it. The amount of people who are in the House of Lords who I don't personally feel care about the country anymore. They don't even show up. But they take this nice little cushy little package. It needs to be productive. It needs to be. No, I agree. Some people don't agree with the House of Lords. I do agree with the House of Lords. I think it's even though there are some problems with it, it definitely needs to stay. Definitely. It's a way of keeping the country going. However, it needs to be fixed. It is broken. There are too many people who are in the House of Lords who shouldn't be there, or they just don't show up, or there just needs people who are genuinely wanting to fix the country. And it shouldn't be a place where people just get a nice package and then they just go in and they just walk around and then they go home and then they're not really doing anything for the country. It needs to be more productive. There needs to be more flame and fire with it. It just seems a bit like it's just wasting the country's potential and money and just energy. My next point is we need more. As much as we need housing, we also need more protective land of trust. We need green in this country. That's what makes this country so beautiful. Look at Dartmoor. Look at the Lake District. These places are icons of British green land. They make Britain beautiful. So why don't we make more areas? Now, yes, you can say the housing needs to be a priority. I do agree with that. However, I feel we don't want this country to be grey. We don't want it to be just houses. We need areas of land of beauty and where wilderness can be. So I feel and it doesn't cost a lot to preserve. I mean, it takes, you just keep a bit of land and just make it and make it a protected trust. And I think it will make the country more green, it will make the country more beautiful, and it will make the country better in the end. Now, the next point I would like to talk about is hypocrisy in politics. Now, when I see what's happened in this last week with the Angela Rayner situation, it makes me lose faith in politics. Now, I'm not saying, as I say, I'm not saying I'm for or against. I'm not with Labour, Conservative, Reform, Green, etc. I'm not saying any of that. I am just saying it annoys me when a certain party have a go at another party for something that they've done or that they have accused the other ones of doing. Let's look at just Labour and Conservative, for example, because they've been in power and they've been arguing, and they're the most popular powers of recent in politics in the UK. The Conservatives messed up when it came to tax and when it came to money, etc., and corruption and policy. But then, and Labour in that time were having a go and saying you must leave, etc. And then it turns around on the other side, and it turns around and it goes the other way, and the Conservatives are saying you can't do this, etc. And Labour are going, well, yes, but no, yeah, and it's just a lot of waffle, basically. Why can't people just be more understanding and just like be more with it? We don't need hypocrisy in this country. It annoys me so much. Like, well, you did it, but we did it, and you should go, but when we get it, it's childish. That's what it is. It's well, you did it first, and I did it, and then it irritates me that politicians are like this. Now, I think Angela Rayner did the right thing. Of course I did. Angela Rayner broke the law, so no matter what excuse, Angela Rayner has to go. And the same thing happened with the Conservatives in the previous government. Granted, it was a little bit longer until those sort of people left, but sometimes if they broke the law or they did something unjust, they left quite soon. However, it still boggles my mind when it needs to be then. It needs to be that moment you do it, right? I've done it. I've accused the opposing party of doing it, so I must leave. And I'm not having a go at Angela Rayner or Labour or Conservatives even. I'm just saying, please make it so that hypocrisy isn't in politics. It will always be in politics because there's always this tribalness when it comes to politics about, oh, well, my side, even though my side did it, is my side, so it doesn't matter. And it's your side, so it does matter. That needs to go. It needs to be, there's set rules, it needs to be. They need to stop backing each other up and go, you've broken the law, you go. That's what it needs to be. The next point I'd like to make is, well, why do MPs have more houses? It boggles the mind when I'm thinking about how this country is in a, supposedly, if you go by politics and you go by what people are saying, we're in a housing crisis. And I do believe we are. If you look at the statistics, I believe we are in a housing crisis. So why on earth do these politicians all have free houses? Or free residence, or free properties, or more? I don't get it. I'm confused. Unless it's a good reason why, if it is an actual reason why they have more houses, I don't get it. I really don't. They all have it, and it's not even just the right or just it's the left as well. They all have more houses, and they go, oh, we're building more houses because of the housing crisis. Why do they have more houses? It's so untouched with people. There's people struggling to buy homes or try and live somewhere of a nice area, but all these politicians have just bought them all. I don't understand why we let this happen. Now, I'm not against people have more houses. That's fine. If you make money, good money, to earn multiple houses, that's fine. That's your life. Well done. You've made a good way in life, either if it's from heritage or if it's from you making your way in life. That's fine. Have those houses. That's your houses. There are laws and rules to make it fair. However, when it comes to politicians, I don't think they can't stand and say, oh, we're trying to fix. They can't, the opposing members can't say, what are you going to do about this housing crisis? And the standing government can't go, oh, this is what we're doing for housing crisis, when they all have multiple houses. It's absurd to me. Just have one area of residence, and funny enough, that residence should be where they've been voted in. Now, when it comes to people in actual government, like the defense secretary and the ministers, I don't, and also I mean when I say defense secretaries, I mean defense minister. I mean, why they can live there? That's fine. They can live in London. That's fine. They need to be there for the good of the country. But why do we have politicians living, winning up north, and then living in the south? I don't get it. It doesn't seem genuine to me. It just seems like, as I've said, it just seems that they're in it for the money, which isn't ever good for politics. It just seems like they don't care about their MPs. The people of the people who voted them in in the first place. Stick to your area, your constituency, and have that one house, and do the work there. There's no need to have a house in the south for you to go half the year with, you know? My next point is political violence is wrong. What political violence does, it creates anarchy, not democracy. Everyone has their right to share an opinion. It's the way of democracy. It's the way of how it works. It's how you get your ideas out there. And political violence will always suppress that. It will always put down, whether it's the so-called, if it's the left opinion or a right opinion, or any opinion, it puts it down because you're making people scared or saying what they feel should be shared.